talk about it. Got my back? Good. All right, so page 75, 76. Let's take a look. What kind of questions did you come across on those?
I don't know what I'm doing at this. Wow.
That's your lesson. Wow, done.
That's what type of teacher I would be though. I'd be like, alright, then we have this slide, and this slide, and that one. Alright, y'all can do whatever for the rest of their class.
But they're all like blank slides too.
Yeah, they're all just blank.
What do you mean you can't see this?
Any of those you want to take a look at? Page 75, 76. Yeah. 4, you got it. Number 4 says k at x is equal to -2 and then x minus 2. All right, so the first thing, you know that this is the same thing as y, right? I just need to put that in there, make sure we're good. So things that are going to take place. I know it's going to flip upside down. So that's going to flip over. So it's going to make it open down. This is going to make it grow twice as fast. And this is going to make it shift right 2 spots. Is that okay? Everyone okay with all those? So if I graph my parent function, we'll just keep doing these in yellow. So that's the parent function. So then we can build this function off of that. So we're going to shift it right 2. And it's not going to move up or down. So I'm going to put this dot right here. It's going to open downward. So I'm going to go down 2 and right 1. Right 1. So it's definitely steeper. It's twice as steep as the yellow. And again, I'm just using the yellow as a reference so I can describe what's going on with it. Is that okay? What other questions did you have? Yeah.
So if it's in the absolute value, does the sign always switch?
Yes. So if it's so here's the reason we show this first, or showing this in this order, is this is the same thing when we start graphing parabolas. If you have something in parentheses, it does the same thing. It shifts it right left. If it's outside of it, it shifts it up down. So it's the exact same thing. And anything in math, like if we did, so just on kind of a little side note, I'm not asking you to know how to graph this, okay? But if you had this function, this basically looks like this. Kind of like that. Okay, maybe not exactly, but just pretend. So if I had this, this point right here, which was 0, 0, is now going to go right 3 and down 4. And so then this would then look like that. So it's the same shifting that's taking place.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm not asking you to understand what that graph is. It's just, it's the same. And even if you've seen like this on your calculator, y equals sine x, you've seen sin cos tan, right? So this graph looks like this. Keeps going and going forever. Okay? So you would look at this point and say if you had y equals 3 sine of x plus 10. So this would move over 10, which this is actually 10 right there. And then it would be triple tall. Something like that.
Okay.
So again, I'm not asking you to understand what a sine graph looks like or a third degree graph looks like, but all of the things that we show with the absolute values, how it shifts, it's the same property throughout math.
Okay.
So it's not like when you're change math going, oh, how's this going to shift? It's going to be the same thing. Because it's grouped, it's going to shift right, left. If it's outside, it's up.
Wait, so does the sign switch or no?
the sign switches.
So,
This switches to a positive yes.
and it'll always like the sign will switch when it's in okay, got it.
So if that was an x plus 2 inside, it goes to negative 2. Okay. What are other questions on this homework? Ethan, you got an earbud in. Thanks, man. What other questions do you have on any of that? Page 75 and 76. All right, so number 9 and number 10, let's just look at those real quick. They say, hey, you have this function. So how would I write this function if it had a vertical translation up 4 units? Well, if we're going up 4 units, that means that I'm now going to make it this. So that's outside, that shifts it up or down. If it has a vertical stretch of a factor of 3, so it's growing 3 times as fast. Then you'd make this equation as g at x is equal to the 3 outside. That means it's going to grow triple fast. So those are 2 types of problems you'll definitely see on the test on Monday. So make sure you have that down. And then if they said, hey, it shifted left or right, that's where you put it inside the parentheses. So we're set. We're good. No other questions? Happy? All right. If you would, please pass forward just page 75. Just pass forward page 75. Okay, make sure your name's on it, though. So if you're in the front, make sure the people who are passing them up have their name on it, please.
Wow.
It's your fault. I didn't get my
Uh-oh.
It's not my fault. It's your fault. You should have turned it off.
And someone else's fault. I'll come back because I was also talking to them.
Okay. Hold your horses.
Horses are being held.
Wow, must be
I don't have a horse.
Giddy up. My last name's Stirrup. I better have a horse.
I like it.
So my sister has horses.
I like it.
Oh, I gave it to her.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I gotta get that. I'll give it to you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Everyone's good? Second day back after break.
Wait.
What?
How'd you manage to get all the way over there? Right? Just
Wait, how
teleported.
many days did you get suspended for?
Like 5.
Yeah, cough medicine.
Yeah, cold medicine.
Yeah, why not you should have done right when they caught you? You should have took it and then like cracked it open and just drank the entire thing. Just down it.
Just gonna run.
Just gonna run.
Aren't you allowed to have cough medicine and like Advil?
I don't know what the rules are.
I thought you
That's why I'm just a teacher.
I
I
think
think
it's
as long as
Or calling yourself in as yourself.
You know, it's your mom.
Acting like your mom.
Like I thought she was the type of person.
You know what I'd do is if I were to call the school and call myself in, I'd totally make this error. I'd be like, "Hi, this is Chris Stirrup calling Chris Stirrup. I'm Chris Stirrup's dad. I'll call back."
I used to do it and it was actually like really good and I'd practice it and write a script. And then one time I was just lazy and I was like, "Hi, this is Sandra. I'd like to excuse my daughter Elizabeth," and it just sounded like myself. But all the other times, it sounded like my mom.
But it doesn't matter how you sound, it says who's calling.
So you do know caller ID starts at 7.
Do what?
Okay, but it starts at
Your
7.
parents are supposed to call.
Yeah, well,
No, but then,
But
but then if you leave a message, I say like, "You can reach me at," and then I do my mom's phone number. but I call if I call on my phone, then I do
You
star
call
6
that phone number.
They don't call
You're
back.
Like,
They don't
I
call
didn't
back.
excuse my daughter, and then you're busted.
Well, I did that.
Okay, I
It
got
didn't
busted.
work.
Okay, well.
I used to.
But then if you
I got
talk
caught.
to the lady,
Wait, hold on.
If you
If you're
talk to
gonna
the
go
lady,
to
it's
that
a
much
lot
work,
easier,
why
'cause
not
you're
just ditch?
hi, I'd like to excuse my daughter, and she's like,
Yeah, if you're
all
going,
right, have a great day. But
you're
then if
going-
it's a voicemail, they can listen to it and like analyze it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
Wow,
what
you're
happened to
smart.
me.
Because we got the FBI here in the building. I don't know.
No, Mr. Doherty and Mary, the secretary, were like, come on, Elizabeth.
what's the
That's-
point of going?
All
girl,
right,
then if
fine.
you-
all right.
I would never.
I would prefer you being here, so don't call yourself.
I only ditched your class once. I'm always here. I was honest that day, remember? You asked why I wasn't here, and I said I ditched.
Shoot, I could have wrote you up.
Too late.
All right.
No,
So, ladies and gentlemen, how do I graph this linear equation? This is just a review. How do we graph it? What's the y-intercept? Go ahead.
So
Come on,
you go to -3, and then
Yep.
it's,
So-
is it over 2 up 1?
Other
Or
way.
is it up 1 over 2?
So, rise up 1 over 2. And it keeps going. You know, the slope keeps going. And you could actually go down 1, left 2. Down 1, left 2. So, you don't need all these points. I'm just showing you that it just will be a continuous thing. Okay, that's pretty simple. I feel comfortable with doing that.
Hold on.
Holding on.
Why did you start at the...
Here,
Yeah, no. Wait.
that was where I actually started because at -3 I went down 1, 2, 3. Then I went up 1, right 2, 1.
Okay.
Or I
Did you
could go
up, right 2.
up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. So I went 1 up, right 2. This is rise over run. All right, the second one, we discovered something called the cover method, which allows us to find where it crosses the x-axis. So I basically have 0, comma blank, 0, comma blank, and blank, comma 0, right? So if that's your x value I covered up, I get -6y equals 6. So what does y have to equal? -1, cool. So 0, -1, it's down there. And then I have a 0 here in the y spot, so 3 times what number gives me 6? 2. 2, 0. So then you have those 2 points, just connect your dots and draw your line straight through. And that's, again, it's just review, right? We've seen this before. We're happy about that?
Space.
So cover method is one way, and then the slope intercept where we find the y-intercept first and then graph from there. Hey, can I move on? We're good to go? No?
Is
No?
it up 1, right 2 again?
On that one, it happens to be, but it's we used the cover method where we found where it crossed the x and the y axis. So remember, if I cover this, x equals 2. I cover that, y equals -1. All right, can I move on? All right, and then we said we have these linear inequalities. So if we wanted to solve this, I would subtract 6 from both sides and divide each side by 2. Do you remember that? And so if we were to graph this on a number line, we'd have 0 here, we'd have 3 here. And then this would be an open dot going bigger. What happened? So do you remember how we used to do those? We've seen this before?
Do I miss it?
No. Well, we're just revisiting it for a
I
moment.
like this a lot better.
Okay. It likes you too. Yeah.
So like I know how to do the
The inequalities.
little brackets,
Alright.
but
Oh, okay.
Forgot
But-
everything.
So remember this would have been
like
3 to infinity?
yeah,
Yeah.
Infinity.
Actually remind me of that. Love it. Good? Cool. Alright, so that remember that's interval notation. And then let's see if we move along a little bit. Alright, so what about if we had both x and y in inequality? It's still, I could graph it. So it's linear equations, but with inequality signs. So it cuts the graph into two different parts. If you just graph one line, you have a region that's to one side of the line and a region to the other side. It could be on the top and the bottom, the left and the right, things like that. And then you plug in the versions. So let's say if I wanted to say, hey, is this point right here a solution to this problem right here? So things you have to recognize is I have an x and a y value right there. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So then I just plug my x and y value into my equation. So that's going to be a 0, and that's going to be a 1, and we try to see if it makes it true or not. So if I had 2 times 0 and 6 times 1, is that value going to be bigger than 12? Well, what's 2 times 0? 0. What's 6 times 1? 6. What's 0 added to 6? 2. What's 0 added to 6? 6. Is 6 greater than 12?
No.
No, that's a false statement. So this gives me a false statement. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So is this a solution to the problem if it gave me a false statement? What do you think? No. How do we know? Well, we plugged it in and we got something that wasn't true. All right? And move on? Okay, sure. Good? All right. No? I know that.
Can I speak Spanish?
He's got like 3 words down, place them together, like 4 different phrases. Sure. Good.
You're gonna kick me like that.
Moving on. All right, so let's graph this equation. Decide if it's solid or dotted. Okay, well, let's graph it first. I think I might be able to get away with using the cover method on this. So that's an x value. So 6 times what number is 12? 2. So I get 0, 2, which is right here. And then that's a y value. So 2 times what number gives me 12? 6. Is that okay? Now, this is an inequality, so we need to figure out, do we have a solid or a dotted line for this? And if it's solid, your inequality will look like either of these. It's dotted if it looks like either of those. Okay? So which is this one, solid or dotted?
Dotted.
Dotted, does everyone feel comfortable with that? So I have a dotted line just like that. Do you agree with that, okay? Okay, I was able to use the cover method in order to do it. Now, I have to pick a test point. So I need to figure out a place on our graph that our line isn't going through. Our line only goes through there. So do you think there's a lot of points we could pick? What's a really easy point to pick? 0, 0. As long as our line doesn't go through 0, 0, that is a test point of all test points. So 0, 0 is a great test point, as long as the line isn't going right through it. If the line goes through it, then we have to figure out something else. It could be like 5, 0 or 0, 10 or something like that. But does everyone agree, using our generic vocabulary, that 0, 0 seems to be on the underside of this graph? Does that make sense to say that? Bottom portion of the graph, lower half of it. So if I take 0, 0 and plug it in to this equation, I'm going to get 2 times 0 plus 6 times 0. Is that greater than 12? Well, 2 times 0 is 0. 6 times 0 is 0. 0 added to 0, is 0 greater than 12? Is that true or false? That's false. So that means that any of the points that I pick on the under portion of this line create a false statement. So I shade the region. That is above it. So this region here, that blue region right on top, if I picked any point up there, I'm going to get a true statement. So the inequality has regions that you create these problems to fall into. And then you have to shade a region. And that region, if I picked anything up here and plugged it in my equation, it gives me true. So if I pick, like, say, 5 comma 5, that would be 10 plus 30. That's 40. 40 is greater than 12. Yeah. If I pick, like, negative 10, plugged it in, I'd get, negative 10, positive 10. That'd give me negative 20 plus 60. Well, that's going to give me, it's going to give me 40. 40 is greater than 12. So any point I pick up here gives me a true statement. Any point I pick down here gives me a false statement. So you're figuring out what region is true or false. Does that make sense? Did I make that clear? I hope I did.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. To what? Who? All right. So we got a few more to walk through. All right. So this problem is set up as y equals mx plus b. So I can find where it crosses the y-axis pretty easily. Where does it cross the y-axis?
-5.
-5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right down there. And what does it appear my slope would be on this line? 2/1. So from that point I just plotted, I'm going to go up 2 and right 1. Because that's where my slope is, right here, right? So I'm going to go up 2, right 1. Do you think this will be a solid or a dotted line? And why?
Solid.
Solid. Why is that?
Because it has the equal to sign.
Yeah, because I have that. If I have this or if I have this, this makes a solid line. Okay? Because the equal sign is part of it. So I'm going to connect these dots as a solid line. Does my line go right through 0, 0?
No.
No. Does it seem like 0, 0 might be a really good test point?
Sure.
Would, using our lingo, if I were to say, hey, 0, 0 is kind of like on the upper left side of this graph. Does that make sense? Just using cheap lingo. Upper left, or more on the top left. Does that make sense? All right, let's see if 0, 0 works. 0, 0 is a point, so I'm going to plug it in. So I'm going to get 0 is less than or equal to 2 times 0 minus 5. So 0 is less than or equal to 0 minus 5. So is 0 less than or equal to negative 5?
No.
No, this is false. So where do I shade? Do I shade the side that the 0, 0 is on, or do I shade the other side? The other side, right. Okay, so all over here, including the red line, is our shaded region. So if I pick any points over here, if I pick any points over there and plug them in, it gives us a true statement. This is, there's going to be that one kid on the test. It's going to be the one kid. You know what that one kid's going to do? They're going to do this. I'm going to, on purpose, shade the wrong side of this. So you have that kid, he's got the pencil that he found like on the curb. It's got like a 0.5 millimeter of lead left in it. No eraser because someone chewed the metal part on the eraser. You guys know that kid? And you're going to hear this during the test. And you're gonna be sitting there like 4 problems in, going, "What the hell is that person shading?" And then it's like, you're gonna flip their pencil over. You know that metal as it goes right against the paper, and you're just like, ah! Or maybe it's just me. And, Mr. Sturp, do you have an eraser? No, I don't.
It's gonna be Jacob.
I shaded the wrong side of the line. Take a look, everyone. I shaded over.
No one can.
But you know the one kid, they shade. They're like getting all the gray scales from their lead. Yeah, we're looking how pretty. What are you doing? I'd say if you have a highlighter, bust out, use the highlighter. What if you make a mistake? Don't make a mistake. All right, hey, this is set up so I can use the cover method. Do you agree? The cover method, because it's, so I'm going to go 0, comma, blank, and blank, comma, 0. That's an x value. Cover that up. So negative 4 times y equals 12. So what does y have to equal? Negative 4 times y equals 12. What does y equal to? 3. Negative 3? Is that what it is? Is that right? And then if I plug it in there, that gives me a 3 over here. Yeah, baby.
Whispering.
All right. Hey, is this solid or dotted?
Are those the voices or people?
Solid or dotted? It is dotted. If it's either of those, you don't have the equal sign. It has to be dotted, okay? So, does 0, 0 appear to be a pretty good test point? Is 0, 0 kind of like leftish of the graph?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to take that. We're going to plug it in to here and see what happens. So I'm going to get 4 times 0 minus 4 times 0 is greater than 12. 0 minus 0, that's 0, right? Is 0 greater than 12?
No.
No, that's false. So I'm going to shade the other side of the line. Again, I'm using highlighter, so it's kind of easy to do. Notice I can still see my dotted line in there. If you don't like that, then I'll use a different color. You want to be able, I want to be able to see that you know that there's a dotted line there. There you go. So if I pick any point in that yellow region, it becomes a true statement. And this is right about the time someone's like, dude, when are we going to use this in real life? You're not. I'm just teaching you the thought process of working through and problem solving. Hey, do you want me to make something up for you? You want something made up?
Why do unicorns
Some
have
more
Because unicorns have to use this.
But they don't. So it's like.
Tell more Las Vegas stories.
Yeah, baby. I would, but you got earbuds in.
We need one more story.
Earbuds aren't in.
A story a day. Where's our story?
Yeah, we haven't gotten our story.
All right, I might be able to get to a story. I don't know. You never know.
Story.
Yeah.
I saw this thing on Instagram, and it was like, how do you do taxes? It's like, I don't know, but the mitochondria of the cell or something, or the powerhouse of the cell is the mitochondria. So basically, I'm going to be like, well, I know how to what is this?
Solve density.
Solve. This is not density.
Inequalities.
Inequalities, but I don't know how to do my taxes.
Yeah.
How do you do?
Moral of the story, I don't know. Most people you hire someone.
There are classes you could take in high school that will lead you to that, but that's not the whole thing of
I don't
life.
have time for that. I have
So many other classes. I mean,
No, you gotta take like, business and stuff with Goodman and those guys.
That's what I did, but I don't know anything about
All right.
taxes.
Hey,
Wait, we have to take a business?
no, you can though if you'd like.
Oh, I was like, I've already done that.
All right,
Business is
I have a linear equation that is just x. I don't have a y value.
I don't read lips just.
Ready? What kind of line is this? It's a solid line. It is a straight line. What kind of line is the line x equals a number? Vertical or horizontal?
vertical.
Vertical, good.
I was to say something, but then I was like, no, that's for Jacob.
Oh,
Jacob, use that filter.
I know, I'm working on it.
All right. So I have this equation. 0, 0 is definitely on the left side of it. But a lot of people look at that going, well, I have a 0 and a 0. Where do I plug that in? Well, you just plug your x value in. So is 0 less than or equal to 5?
It's less than.
Yeah, so that's a true statement. Do you agree?
Yes.
So I'm going to shade the side that 0, 0 is on. Sorry, I'm that guy. It's got to be perfect. Miss a spot, can't do it. There you go. So if I pick anything over there in the yellow region, any of those points, and you look at the x component, you're going to get a true statement. Huh. Can I move on? So if x equals a number is vertical, what's y equals a number?
Horizontal?
Horizontal. And this is dotted. Do you agree?
Yes.
So y equals 3. 1, 2, 3. Looks like that. And I could go ahead and pick 0, 0 again. And on this one, you're just going to pick your y component here. So is 0 greater than 3? True or false? 0 bigger than 3. That's false. So underneath the line is all false. So above the line is all true. There you go. Yeah.
Wait, so how do you know what to choose for like
The test
y?
point. The what? Wait.
Like, cause it's 0, 0. Should we just choose 0, 0 all the time?
Unless my graph goes right through 0, 0, then we pick something else. And I don't know if we'll have one. Maybe we will. That will go right through it. Let's see.
I don't know.
So let's take a look. I just want to see. I'll tell you what. Why don't let's do this one first, and then I'll show you one that it goes right through the origin, and then
Okay.
we'll do. Cool? So this is in point slopes. Remember, we're lazy, so we need to take that out. So you remember our point off of here, if it's grouped, it's always opposite when it comes out. So my x component's -4, my y component's +2. This still is the same thing as the one is in absolute values. It comes out. You get something that pulls out. So -4, up 2. I have a slope of up 1, right 2. This is going to be a solid line. So 0, 0 is a good test point right here because it's underneath the line. But if I take 0, 0 and plug it in here and here, I'm going to get 0 minus 2 is greater than or equal to 1/2 0 plus 4. So -2 is greater than or equal to 0 plus 4 is 4, half of 4 is 2. Is -2 greater than or equal to +2? No, that's false. So I shade the side opposite of where the line is. So that works. But then the last example is, let's say I have, I'll just write this. Let's say I have y is greater than x. Okay? Okay? So I can't pick 0, 0 because my line goes right through 0, 0. So I have to pick something else that's not there. So I might pick, I don't know, let's pick this. That's like 4, 0. 4, 0 is on this side of the line, you agree? That's an x value. That's a y value. Let's plug them in. So I get 0 is greater than 4. True or false?
No, false.
Is it false? So this is the region up here that you shade. So that's what you do. You pick something else as a test.
Will there be something?
Well, just if there is, do what I just did. If there isn't, I just keep sticking with 0, 0 because that's a pretty valuable friend for you. All right, so for tonight, we would like you to work on page 78 and 79. Page 78, or, whoops, wait, wrong page. 77, 78, sorry about that. Page 77 and 78 is what we'd like you to work on tonight. You find the page number at the lower right-hand corner. One of them is one of those goofy things, what do sharks eat for dinner? So we're trying to figure out the great mystery. And then the other side. Oh, wait, you know what? I don't want you to do that. I'm scratching that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're going to do page 79 and 80. I'm sorry, page 79 and 80. 79 and 80 is exactly what I want you to work on for tomorrow. So we'll actually put that on board. Check 79 and 80. So you're gonna actually be skipping a couple pages.
Oh, where's my lanyard?
Tomorrow's Wednesday, huh?
What?
That's cruising.
I think I